For February the 22nd, 2019, we talk about the recent Nintendo Direct announcements, Sunless Skies, and we do a free play multiplayer. Welcome to level 275. My name's Kole Ross.
I'm David Smith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Rocking it 3 style this time. This is going to be a fun episode. I've been playing a lot of games, you guys.
Ooh, yeah. I've seen 2 of them, so yes. I know that many.
Yeah. But other than that, not a whole lot's going on here. Ben, this is your last week in Austin.
Yeah, very bittersweet. It was 80 degrees last Friday. I am certainly going to miss that.
Yeah.
But I'll be happy to be somewhere else in the summer, so I guess it'll balance out.
Yeah, it won't be the literal surface of hell.
It's kind of, I think of it more of like Dune, where it's like everyone just has to head inside during the day and just batten down the hatches.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Frostpunk.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
You got your Frostpunk goggles on now, Kole, after playing it last week?
I do, yeah. That game, I tweeted this, but that game is precisely my jam. Mm-hmm. It is so incredibly good.
I'm excited to talk about it in depth later.
Yeah. In the green room, you talked about some kind of bucket list Austin stuff. Like what's something in Austin you wanted to do but haven't done?
There's a Belgian beer bar downtown that I want to go to, and I think I'm going to do that this Friday. Mm-hmm. A lot of it's just kind of doing roundup stuff of different restaurants that I go to that I like. Mm-hmm. And then also I'm hosting a Magic draft next week with a set called Dominaria that was out like 6 months ago or so. I have a bunch of prize packs saved up that I was waiting to do a draft at some point in time, so I'm going to do it before I leave.
Oh, fun.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's how long have you been in Austin?
It's 3 years and 4 months, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's been a great city. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Cool. David, how about you? Speaking of cool cities, how are things up in Manhattan?
They're doing pretty well. Had a big party over the weekend with the martial arts group here, so that was a lot of fun. Just kind of hanging out and chatting. It was up in Upper West Side, which is a part of the city I hadn't really seen much of before.
I never spent any time up there. Yeah,
it's really nice. A lot more. I know it's weird. It seems like it's one of the areas that is bigger in terms of lots of tall buildings, stuff like that, but is much less like dense, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So,
nice.
So, but yeah, it was kind of weird. Like for example, being in the guy who hosts its house and being like, "Oh, there's places in New York that have more than one room."
Yeah. It's a little bit of spread out your arms, Yeah,
exactly.
Very nice. Yeah, I have nothing near as exciting. I figured out a new way to store my video games.
Oh, cool.
Where?
So my problem was that I just kind of got sick of looking at my bookshelf with all the games faced out. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of games, but it just kind of seemed, I don't know, I just don't like having them out. So I spent like maybe a month like looking at ways to conceal them but still have them readily available. Like I went to a bunch of stores and measured like dressers because I got spoiled working at GameStop. They have like custom sized drawers for DVD cases, right? So they're exactly as deep as they need to be. In every dimension to fit them just fine. Like, oh, that'd be great to store them densely. They're out of the way, etc. And what I finally decided to do was I got these like they're like binders, but they look like little books almost. I can post a picture of this, but like instead of having like the one big game binder like everybody kept their burned DVDs in college, you know. Like, I don't like that. Like, these are individual ones that I have, like, labeled on the ends, and I took all the cases and I put them in underbed totes and things like that. So, yeah, I'm just in anticipation of spring cleaning, I have completely streamlined the way that my games are stored, made it denser and more efficient.
This is a Kole achievement unlocked.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just didn't like having them out like that. Yeah. So that has been my big excitement.
I feel like eventually you'll have to make like a game turret or something in a castle where you just have like circular games all around you. And
Yes.
Just be like, welcome to my room.
Oh, I was thinking something that would like shoot games at him. Like, you play this.
Yep.
Open to interpretation. You can do either one of those, Cole.
Yeah, any of those. Oh, it's all going down there. No bad ideas. Yeah. Oh, well, that sounds like banter to me. We were talking about at the beginning whether this would be a long episode or a short episode. I have no idea, but that was a brief banter for us, which gives us plenty of time to do a regular kind of show, a brief, a multiplayer, and a grind. And I've consulted the stars, and we're going to get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us.
I like how it's no longer randomness which one we're doing. It's destiny based now.
Yes. Well, there's no such thing
Completely
as
different
random.
than fate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben, I'm going to go to your story first because it is follow up on something we talked about a while back. What did the United States say to Carlton?
I didn't even read this article. It's just the headline, so that's all I'm sharing. The U.S. government said that dance cannot be copyrighted. So this is a follow-up to what we talked about maybe a month ago or so. Carlton was thinking of taking legal action. He has a name too. It's not Alfonso Cuarón.
No,
it's,
Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah,
The actor who played the character Carlton on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, was considering legal options against Fortnite because one of the dances in the game was called, I think, Fresh, or So Fresh, excuse me, which was like a Carlton dance. And so there's some kind of curiosity about that, of what would happen with that. But once again, Fortnite cannot be sued. It has judoed its way out of it once again. So first they got out of PUBG and now this. So
yeah.
So, I wonder, does this now mean that, for example, you can't copyright like ballets?
I don't know.
that's not the dance part.
Yeah.
But the music part? I don't know.
Yeah, so there is not enough, based on reading the article, there is not enough detail given in the ruling as to what is and isn't copyrightable about the particular moves that Ribeiro does when he is doing the Carlton dance as Carlton, or on Dancing with the Stars or what have you. So it is hard to tell. I don't know actually if ballets can be copyrighted, but also like a recipe can't be copyrighted either. That's why state fairs exist. Yeah.
BT Dubs, my favorite part of the article, is the last sentence of it is, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air airs weekdays on BET and VH1. Check local listings.
CYLL. Check your local listings.
So how is it? Wait, so a recipe can't be copyrighted?
No, a combination of different foods cannot be copyrighted.
Then how can, like, for example, pharmaceuticals be copyrighted? Because those are simply a recipe.
Because our laws don't make any sense.
It's the Food and Drug Administration, not the food.
And also, I don't think it is the. So with medications, it's a patent is the thing.
Oh, so you could patent your food, you just couldn't copyright it.
I think it would be considered frivolous. I don't think you can patent food.
I do know one restaurant around me has people signed an NDA based on some of the recipes that they have at their restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for some of those, it becomes like a trade secret. right? And
right.
I may just be parroting a myth that I heard in a business law class or whatever. But like the recipe for Coca-Cola can't technically be copyrighted or patented, but it is a trade secret, and that's why it is so closely held. Same with the herbs and spices or whatever for KFC. That's my understanding anyway.
My understanding is that basically the way it works is, a copyright, at least, until, before America became a corporatocratic dystopia, the idea of copyright was, or rather the idea of patent was that you gain temporary exclusive use in exchange for disclosing it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a trade secret, you have perpetual use as long as you don't disclose it.
Right.
But no protections once it is.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I am not a lawyer, and unfortunately, you need to be one to understand America's injustice system.
Yeah. It sucks. So sorry, Alfonso. That sucks. Again, I have no idea like who you are as a person, how much money you have, etc. But my desire to root for the underdog makes me think, yeah, Fortnite should probably pay you a little bit for that. Oh, well. But thank you for bringing that. My story, I've got two of them, actually. Usually I'm not the person who does this.
I do have a follow-up. Carlton's net worth is $7 million.
Okay.
Oh, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's comfortable, depending on where he lives and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It is super weird that information is just out there.
Googleable, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel great about that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I've got two. My first big one is that there was a pretty momentous. There was a big Nintendo Direct this past week, that had a lot of stuff in it. Primarily two things that I'm excited about. There's a third that I'm going to talk about in the grind because I've been playing it. But the big thing to me anyway, is that Super Mario Maker 2 was announced for the Switch, which continues the great exodus of Switch titles and properties, or of Wii U properties toward the Switch. So good, thank you. Additionally, they are remaking The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Switch. Link's Awakening is the Zelda that was made for the original Game Boy. It was the first Zelda game I ever played, actually. So
that's the one where you condemn an island to death.
Well, I mean, can something die if it never existed?
This is a podcast about video games, not about philosophy.
So Mario Maker, they're adding, just kind of new tools, new tiles that you can put in, different enemies. I don't know how much there is aside. Like, to me, the exciting thing about it is having it on the Switch. For The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, they're like completely redoing the visual style and almost this kind of like plasticine 3D but still top down.
It looks kind of like Octopath Traveler a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It looks simple enough, but also like it is modeling some kind of physical object. And I love Link's Awakening. It is kind of this perfect, like Link's Awakening in the Zelda series is a little bit of a predecessor to Majora's Mask in terms of having this extremely disconnected, dreamlike, but still whimsical kind of tone to it. So I am jazzed about both of these, and it's good to see Nintendo, in addition to these, there are a couple of other things. It's good to see that the bench is being deepened for the Switch a little bit. So I'm looking forward to when these come out.
I'll be interested to see if they keep the weird Mario enemy cameos.
Oh, yeah. Like just the fact that Wart is there for no reason at all.
Yeah, and you fight Goombas and get a chain chomp.
Yep. Yeah, I hope they keep it because that is one of the charming things about it.
Yep.
Oh, did you ever play Link's Awakening, bud?
I'm not sure. I played one of the old Zelda games when I was like younger, but I like didn't beat it, and so I just bounced off of it.
Okay.
Ocarina is when I started in earnest.
Yeah. You're a 3D Zelda fella.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are that's my first story. The combined Nintendo Direct. Did anything from that event kind of stick out for you guys?
I read this in passing this week that they were thinking that they were questioning. I think this was on Polygon, where they were questioning whether or not they're going to make an upgraded Switch, but that wasn't announced or anything.
No. Firmly rumor land.
Yeah, that's all I got. Most of the games I think seem cool, but they might not be for me.
Yeah. The other thing, and this is just another straight up Kole A Thing Exists story. Team Cherry, the developer behind Hollow Knight, people thought that they were going to announce a new expansion for Hollow Knight where you can play as Hornet, kind of the non-playable female secondary protagonist of that game. They straight up just announced a new game starring Hornet, starring that person. So the game is called Hollow Knight Silksong. You play as Hornet with her little needle and thread and all of that, and all her grappling hook goodness. You have been taken to a new land, and the parts of the trailer that I saw look Hollow Knight as fuck. And because of that, I stopped watching the trailer because I decided, all right, I don't want to know any more about this. What I have seen is sufficient, and I'm going to mainline this as soon as it came out because Hollow Knight is one of the best games of the past 5 years.
Dang.
And I trust that developer quite a bit. Looks amazing. The music that I heard sounded amazing. The new play ideas that I saw, I mean, she has a grappling hook, sign me up. I want it quite bad. It's great to see that they recognize that the expansion they were working on kind of overflowed the scope a little bit. And they just decided to make a whole new game out of it. Yeah. I just want it as soon as possible, please.
I'm watching the trailer because I'm not worried about that. It looks good.
Yeah. I will probably watch the trailer because I can't remember where any of the paths go when I'm actually playing the game. So there's no chance I'll learn anything from a trailer.
Oh, but I saw bosses, and I'm not going to get to see those bosses for the first time again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yep. So Hollow Knight was very good. This game looks quite good as well. Yahtzee. And David, round us out. What's going on with Stranger Things and D&D?
Yeah, so I'm basically going to steal Cole's patented A Thing Exists in order to say that apparently there is a new version of the Dungeons & Dragons starter set that it will be coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of the hook is that it includes the campaign that the kids in Stranger Things are playing, complete with their character sheets and two Demigorgon miniatures. Apparently one is pre-painted and one is unpainted.
Okay.
Also, I don't recall if you actually see the D&D Demigorgon when they're playing, but this miniature is modeled very much on the
actual monster from in the show.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they showed the Demogorgon in the show, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't recall.
There's a they have a miniature of it. They make it look like a big snake man, but it's there.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if this means that they will be able to stop calling it demons and demogorgons instead of Dungeons and Dragons, or if that is still such a part of the brand. Like of all the dumb things to take me out of that show that I kind of like, the fact that they had to call it Demons and Demogorgons instead of D&D, sorry, Dungeons and Dragons, because D&D would still apply in that case, kind of bummed me out.
See, I still don't get that. Like, I don't, like, you can't just keep people from saying your name.
I mean, it's a trademark product.
Does it? I mean,
yeah. Again, we're getting into this business law stuff.
We need to have a new legal consultant.
Yeah, I know. I just know I read lots of books that have people going to McDonald's to eat or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they were overly cautious. Oh, well. Yeah, but that's cool. I like the box art for that. Again, of all the dumb things, but like they just went like straight back to the TSR era design, and they even have it like a little bit distressed to look vintage as well.
Yeah, I really want to know, this is completely random, but what the font is for the Stranger Things logo. I just know it as like the font of every Choose Your Own Adventure book ever, but I'm kind of interested to know the history of that.
You can go download it and take a look. I have it because I have done some Stranger Things logo parody kind of stuff. Like we did one for Bonfireside Chat Design. Mm-hmm. And additionally, like that is also the font that is supposed to remind you of like the title text on a Stephen King novel. So I think I used it on some Radio Free Midworld stuff too. I do not know the name of that font, but it exists. You can just, if you just do a search for Stranger Things font, that's a trick for everybody. If there's like a piece of media that you like, just put font after it in Google, and somebody has either identified it or has just made one for it. So
yeah, I think my favorite is just the fact that the entirety of the future apparently uses one of two fonts.
What do you mean?
If you look in particular on one sec. If you look at like computer screens, in almost anything sci-fi, they'll either be using Euro style or Bank Gothic.
Okay, yeah. It's just you end up getting design cliches, and it becomes shorthand for whatever they're trying to get. So I knew it began with B. The Stranger Things font, and therefore a bunch of Stephen King fonts, is called Ben Gwiat Bold. Yeah.
There's also a website called Strangify Things, I think, where it'll put whatever text you want in a Stranger Things font.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still disappointed that my favorite useless text thing from the internet, Text Line Centaur, apparently went offline.
What is Text Line Centaur?
You can just paste in a block of text, and it will like shape it to vaguely be shaped like a centaur.
Oh, that is really good. Wow. Yeah. So I don't know if it's still alive, but if you do a search on that, you can see a bunch of shots of people. Some examples. He's so triumphant. He's holding the sword. He just looks so happy. Whereas my favorite text thing on the internet, Hacker Typer, is still active.
What is that?
So Hacker Typer, it is a web app where it opens up, just kind of a stereotypical, Linux terminal or whatever. And no matter what you type into it, it just kind of creates garbage code.
That's nice.
So you can pretend that you have extremely good hacking skills. Just by watching this.
AKA what I'm going to be doing when I want to slack off at work in the future.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that website that'll take the text of a book and put it into a spreadsheet so you can read at work. Yeah, so this has been our text chat. Sorry, I need to close Text Line Centaur because that makes me too happy.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question, usually, and you answer it. That's the normal thing we do. But every 5th episode, we do a free play multiplayer, where it is t'other way round, where you ask us questions and then we answer them. So I'm going to get us started here because I want to get through these. Don't want to have any leftovers this time if we can help it. Bill writes, any predictions for what the next BioShock game, currently working name Parkside, will be about, or what kind of setting you would like to see? I didn't know this existed.
I did not either.
No.
But I do have a guess. I mean, if the first one's undersea and the second one's in the atmosphere, third one's got to be in space.
But the first one was in space.
Yes, the system. Well, I mean, we're all in space. Do you mean System Shock?
The first one being the first BioShock.
Yeah. But David, when you said the first one was in space, you were speaking of System Shock.
I
right?
meant System Shock.
Yeah. I want GeoShock. I want them to be inside of a mountain. I have no idea. I don't know. I'd be fine with them just going back to Rapture. Go back to Rapture and have it be a fun, immersive sim. Let me crawl in some vents and set traps and fight big daddies, but just do it cool and good this time and I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways we could do this. You know, we could probably plot a regression because we know what year System Shock, BioShock, and BioShock Infinite are set in.
Yeah.
So we could probably go back, but, you know, this... You know, looking at the general trends, it's looking like maybe sometime colonial era.
I don't know. So, it doesn't seem like they'd be able to build Rapture in the colonial era. Sorry, yeah. I don't want them to do another Infinite, please, if possible.
Yeah.
I'm asking very nicely.
Such a good game.
I know. You're outnumbered here, Cole.
I know, it's fine.
It's a great game.
That's why I'm being sheepish. I don't want to step on your guys' toes. I don't want to step on your guys' toes at all.
It's Inception in video game form. It's great.
Yeah.
I just liked the story and message a lot better.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyways, I really don't know. It feels... Kind of like you said, it feels like if you wanted to do a dramatically, you know, that setting, you know, the only thing I could about see would be, you know, something getting into, you know, some of the atomic punk type stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of punk space they have left. There are no more punk frontiers.
Yeah, Obsidian's already taking the Outer Worlds from them. So
yeah, so no idea. I have no information. 2K is doing it. It is weird to see 2K doing anything nowadays outside of NBA 2K, which is their cash cow. But
they did BioShock 2, right?
I mean, it's always been 2K. BioShock 1 was initially like just 2K games, or 2K Some City. Irrational forms for Infinite and then disbanded.
Oh, I thought Irrational did the first one as well.
I mean, the team that eventually, I forget the actual politics. It's probably more complicated than this, but the team that made BioShock 1 was 2K at the time, then they became Irrational.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No idea. This is the first time I've heard of it. I mean, the first time I heard of it was 5 hours ago when you posted the question, Bill, but yeah. Greg writes, will we see an improved Switch come out this year like they did with the PS4 and Xbox One? I'm still unsure if I should buy one now or wait. I have a long history of waiting for version 2. Generally a good plan, I think, waiting for version 2 of stuff. I love my Switch quite a bit. And some of the stuff that they have been doing as regards, I think restoring purchases and transferring like saves via Nintendo Online make it seem like they want you to be ready to swap things over. I would be less surprised that Switch does a revised. So I was more surprised that Sony and Microsoft did their revisions. than I am or would be that Nintendo did one. Nintendo has a long history of doing this. I think that they will eventually do it, but I don't know how soon. So it just depends on your patience. Or here's what you can do. If you believe in magical thinking, just buy a Switch, but don't open it in a way that anybody can tell you opened it, because again, the magical thinking is you buy a Switch. Okay. You think, okay, well, the second I buy a Switch, they're going to announce it. That might be the case. It might be the case that they don't announce it till you open the Switch. Or it might not be the case. It might be the case they won't announce it till you buy a Switch, open it, and then it is past the return window. But yeah,
that seems plausible.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, for the greater good, what you need to do, Greg, is buy a Switch. That way, everybody else who's waiting can just know
to wait. Yeah,
yeah.
I see it as a win-win situation because either way, you're getting a Switch out of it. So
yeah, the current Switch is really good. Like, I have no idea what they would do to make the new one better battery, etc.
Even then, the battery is pretty solid on it now. It lasts for at least 3 or 4 hours on its own.
Yeah. Like it lasts for an evening of play. I'd probably be frustrated with it if I took it out. If I took it elsewhere. Yeah, I don't know.
David, buy now, buy later. What do you think?
I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask for this one because I'm not a particularly big fan of Nintendo hardware.
Sounds like a don't buy in either case situation. So we spread the recommendations around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Monstro asks, do you want a new From Software Souls-like? If yes, in what setting would you like it to be?
I'll say yes because it'll just make bonfire side chat better, maybe. So yeah.
Again, for the many, I would say yeah. Why not? I'm positive they're working on something like that. I want them to do it. Like, I want them to go back to Shadow Tower. You cowards. Just like the medieval horror based, but also like kind of industrial setting. Yeah, go back to Shadow Tower. Make me a new Shadow Tower game. How about you, David?
So, at the very least, I feel I want to play another Souls-like, and I feel like all the Souls-likes I see, either miss the point of Souls or are just not the part of Souls that I like, which would tend to be kind of the more of the story narrative kind of setting type of aspects of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'd love to see someone do that. In terms of setting, first off, I'd love to see more Bloodborne, just in general. But things I think that are underused that could work really well would be I still want to see a game do the general thing with either like Indian mythology, Southern Asia Indian, not Native American would also be pretty badass, but or Indonesian mythology. I think both would be really cool, especially because they both have some crazy, freaking terrifying monsters in their lore. I'm pretty sure, though, that Gruda would just be the second coming of those annoying swamp birds from Dark Souls 3.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh. In addition to my answer, I would say if they did do another Bloodborne, I want them to make it all Canehurst. Give me a 3D Castlevania, you cowards. Sorry, everybody's a coward.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, everybody's a coward. Let's see. Casey asks, what is your favorite meal to cook or order when you want to have a long gaming session?
I'll say maybe for nostalgic reasons, I think my new favorite lunch whenever I play a game of Twilight Imperium is we stop halfway through the game when it's like lunchtime and we all walk down the street and get a pizza together. It's like just as a way to get some exercise and break up the sitting down and playing the game for 6 or 7 hours.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, David?
Well, I cannot cook to save my life, so I really got nothing on this one. Sorry, I feel like that's like a slacker answer.
It says order. Like, do you get any kind of like carry out if you know you're hunkering down? Like, or not even like hunkering down, but like, I'm gonna have a me night and I'm gonna eat the food that I want to eat, and I'm gonna play games because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, probably would be pizza. You know, usually do like old freezer pizza, just with lots and lots of extra shredded cheese on top.
We call that doctoring it up. When you doctor it up.
Yep.
With extra, yeah. In my family,
it's because you need to see a doctor later.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
That's just assumed, right?
Right. Oh. Yeah. So pizza's an obvious one. I think pizza has a practical element just because it is easy. It comes with a handle, right? You know. However, for like I know that I'm going to eat this, like if it is, I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to have for a while, like mixing up some kind of, I don't know, like meat, rice, and some kind of greens is usually a good way to go. Like it can just be super basic, but, do that in the instant pot, all warm and steamy. Yeah. That's a good way to do it, I think. If I'm having a me night, just because I don't do an awful lot of long gaming sessions, really, Indian food. Yeah, like if it is to be a Kole me night, it would be some takeout Indian food and playing a video game for 2.5 hours before drinking a beer and then going to bed.
I don't know if you do this or not, but do you think of Indian restaurants on like what percentage of good they are compared to Cincinnati Indian restaurants, or is that just me?
Kinda. So really the only I've had Indian food in other cities, but like, yeah, like Cincinnati, Cincinnati is kind of the place where I've eaten most of my Indian food. So like, so Sean India in Norwood Hyde Park was my jam. When I lived near there, but like Baba India was good, and you really can't. What was the Indian place next to UC's campus that was there for a while?
There's Deep India,
yeah,
and then there's Dushmesh down by Cincinnati State, which was good.
Yeah, Deep was also good. Yeah, so I don't like gauge anything, but like that's the Indian food that I'm familiar with. Yeah, Sean India's great. Their buffet was actually really good. The only Indian buffet that I've had where the what are those pastries with like the potatoes and peas inside? Fuck. Man.
Gosh, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always confuse it with the drink, and it's not a mimosa.
Oh, so
close.
Samosa or whatever.
Yeah.
It's only pitch for the samosas aren't like all nasty and dry. What were we gonna say, David?
Oh, I was going to say, I might have given this advice before, but Jala's not here, so I can get away with it. If
Wear Velcro?
What?
Wear Velcro?
If you like Indian food, try Nepali food. It's basically Indian food without all the vegetarian nonsense.
Yeah.
Glad you waited for Jala not to be here to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Ethiopian food, if you like Indian food.
Oh, really?
Is also it has my favorite things about Indian food, which is sauces, sauces, meats, and breads, and vegetables all cooked right and seasoned good. Man, love talking about food. Dan asks, does anyone have OCD about the order that they play their games in, and do they have to finish? I have this thing where I feel I should play them in the order that I get them or download them and have to complete them even if I'm not digging it. That way lies madness, my friend. Anytime I've ever tried to impose that kind of order on my play, I have just been miserable. So instead, I just follow my heart.
By which you mean you're, watch out for fireball.
Yes.
Schedule. Yeah.
Yep. If I follow my heart, I mean it has to be a job. How about you guys?
So I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask because I virtually never actually finish a game.
Right.
So for me, definitely the answer is no. Although, to be fair, I guess I, in effect, kind of do what you're saying because I never really tend to go back to old games all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, when I was younger, I would be more of the person to finish every game that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
But I think nowadays it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not I'll finish it. I think kind of the rule is if it's like a $60 game, then I'll play that to completion. But if it's like a smaller indie game, it's a toss up.
Yeah. I think of us, you're the one, like of the people on the show, you're the one who will get a game and then play it close to release and when you bought it. Like Dennis will play and complete a game, but often it will have an external structure attached to it, and he's more into ongoing things. Jala will get really obsessed with playing a game to completion, but it will be kind of after she has let it incubate for a while. And then I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So yeah, I think Ben, you're the one who has the best record for this.
So something weird I've noticed is that I think part of the reasons I don't play games to completion that often is I tend to, be, not follow the critical path or whatever at all.
Right.
Not do the critical path Johnny. So for example, I still haven't beaten Desolate. However, I have gotten like 90% of the achievements already.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just you getting distracted from playing the game by the game.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I think that's a distinct pattern of the way I play games that I've noticed.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is the perilous lack of distinction in our vocabulary between finishing a game and being done with it. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's especially tough with something like a Fallout game where, there can be entire, subplots that like Fallout, was it Fallout 4? Like, I really don't care whatsoever what happens to the dude's kid. Like,
right. Well, that's not a subplot. That's the story, right?
So they say.
Subplot depending upon how you play the game.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the plot of Oblivion is doing the Dark Brotherhood quest. So
right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. Christopher writes, any good music you've been listening to recently? If so, what? If not, oh well. Ben, how about you?
I think at least one album I listened to in the last 6 months is Jungle Forever is a really good album. And there was one more, but I forget what it was. But yeah.
I've been kind of splitting time between Goths by the Mountain Goats and Cry 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 by Wolf Parade. Yeah. And like when I'm not just like listening to game soundtracks by, Disaster Piece or whatever, Spotify, man. It's great for that. How about you, David?
I've got nothing but, open to suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, any of the ones that we said.
Yeah.
I think, so I don't know if Wolf Parade would be your jam, but like check out, Dragon Slayer by Sunset Rubdown.
Okay.
Might be something you're into. I mean, it's Canadian indie pop, like most of the stuff that I like to listen to nowadays, but it is grandiose in a way that I think you would appreciate.
Nice. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah. Let's see. Steven writes, what do you think about start screens? Are they needed or not? Do you like them? I don't think they're needed.
I think they're icing on the cake in terms of game development, where it's like if you make a nice one, that's fine, but only do it if you have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
See, I kind of miss the old Source engine start screens where it would just be like a, physics enabled scene from the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also remember, at least in the original Killing Floor, it was literally a level from the game. So if you, I don't know, like extracted it, you could actually play on the start screen.
Yeah. That'd be awesome if it sensed when you did that and you just showed up in somebody else's start screen running around.
That would be badass.
I'll give an example. Pipe Push Paradise, one of the games I played recently, the menu for that is just a camera that's looking down at the entire island of the game. And it was like a fine enough start screen, and that required like almost no effort to make. So
yeah.
I thought,
So like I'm drawing a distinction between a start screen and the menu. So like the start screen would be like a title splash with like copyright text down at the bottom that you have to like press start or A or any button to get through to get to the menu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It feels like a holdover from arcade times to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at the very least, I wish that like multiplayer games would learn to get rid of them. Like particularly, games like MMOs and stuff where you're going to go to the start screen, literally hundreds of times.
Yeah. I mean, like at that point, you have to like keep it alive with new information. Otherwise, it, stops serving a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Andrew writes, is there a specific genre of game that, despite its popularity, you just can't get into for whatever reason? For me, I've tried virtually every open world game since GTA Vice City and have never finished a single one. Red Dead Redemption, all GTAs, Dead Island, and even more recently, Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn. I inevitably make it about 20 hours in before I realize I'm 100 miles away from the current main quest objective and have lost all my steam. It sucks because I really enjoy these games, but I'm just too easily distractible to make my own decisions when it comes to progression. MMOs. I like that. That is a case where I used to have it in me to be curious or into them at all. And like, I don't know, I've looked at trying out like Final Fantasy 14. But I just cannot bring myself to do it. I know that they're not the same as they used to be. I know they have been focused and honed. But yeah, it's just not a thing I can bring myself to be excited about.
Is it the time commitment aspect of it?
Maybe, possibly, but like, I don't know. It just there's something about the structure of the game that just makes me that I look at it and I think, I want to go to sleep.
Yeah. I ask because that's kind of what I outright just kind of reject most MMOs, just because it's like, well, I don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours playing this game, even if it's fun.
Yeah.
Like that's like too much of a time sink.
Yeah.
So can we talk about Rocket League?
Yeah, I was gonna say I incidentally do this in other games.
Yeah, but like Rocket League, it is both a team sport, a thing that you do with your friends, and also a solitary pursuit of perfection. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I mean, so part of the thing about an MMO is you put hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, and you don't feel like you ever finished anything because there's just always more of it. Whereas from the outside, Rocket League looks like, I don't know, there are people who spend a lot of time playing Madden and feel really satisfied with it too. Like a sports game feels like it's necessarily a different thing.
I will not try and say that one is better than the other.
I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that it just seems similar.
I will say that for me, it's just that if I start a game of Rocket League, when I started playing the game, I did not think I would put thousands of hours into it. So.
Yeah. Is that your answer? MMOs, Ben?
I would say my answer, I'll say like the Dark Souls type games, just because usually it's just like too much friction for me. So I get too frustrated if I have to like backtrack over the map like a bunch of times to kill the same person, and usually that will put me off of a game.
Yeah. David, how about you? What game can you just not get into, or genre rather?
I think I've actually got a number.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say roguelikes, definitely. Survival games.
Mm-hmm.
MOBAs. Whatever the battle royale.
Okay.
I know. I think all of those. It's probably a big aspect of it is like progression and like storyline and scope tend to be really important to me.
Right.
And those all kind of subvert it. Also, just in particular with like this, especially the survival to a lesser degree battle royale, they struck me as basically building a game around the worst parts of gaming, which is griefing and dealing with psychopaths.
Okay.
Well,
like survival games, you're thinking of like Rust or Ark survival.
Yeah. Like actual survival games are generally my jam.
What would be an actual survival game?
Like a Stalker or I really want to try The Island, stuff like that.
Okay.
The one that's maybe a little weird for me is fighting games, just because normally anytime you can martial arts someone, I'm there. But I think it tends to just be like a dramatic difference in priority between me and most games.
Right.
Yeah, just in terms of like, to me, the actual like physical input and like, kind of finicking with controls and stuff is not the game. It's, what separates you from the game. Whereas it seems like in fighting games and really to a large degree competitive games in general, like that is the entire game.
I mean, yeah. There's certainly a level on which fighting games are played, like at the Evo level, where it is all about Yomi or whatever. Trying to think about trying to hold in your head both what your enemy will do based on what they think you're going to do and how the outcome is going to change because you are taking their reaction into account.
Right.
So, yeah.
So wait, David, you don't wave dash when you do martial arts?
I believe me, I've tried, but haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah. if you do, some scientists show up and like take you away. You become government property. Let's see. Charles writes, is anyone else hyped for Link's Awakening on the Switch? Have you been paying attention, Charles? I just said I was. Come on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you, Charles. Come back. And you guys aren't excited per se.
I will say neutral, but maybe this might be my path into Link's Awakening, so maybe it'll be cool.
Maybe.
Yeah. Link's Awakening is a game I'd very much like to come back to. The fact that it's on the Switch means I almost certainly won't. But maybe I'll download an emulator or something.
Yeah, download an emulator, play the original, or do the Game Boy Color one. That's a good update.
Nice. Didn't even know they made one of those.
Yeah, they did. It was Link's Awakening DX is what they called it.
Ah, nice.
They fixed a game-ending bug. A couple of them, I think.
That tends to be important.
It wasn't so much a bug; it was just a way that you could try to input the solution to a puzzle that would keep you locked in that dungeon forever.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, now.
Yeah. So, it depends for varying definitions of bug. Jack writes, do you have any good ideas about integrating save rooms or save points into a game that haven't really been explored? Inventive save mechanics are really additive to the atmosphere.
So I thought of this over the last 5 minutes because I was thinking about this question up ahead. But it'd be cool if they made a Fountain video game, like the movie The Fountain.
Oh, yeah?
And every time you save the game, it's somebody writing the ending of a chapter of what's going on in the story. And then you could have it read off the game like what the player has done recently and have somebody like writing that out in the description.
Yeah.
That could be cool. And then you could have the saves like numbered or whatever by chapter numbers.
Yeah. I always like it when somebody saves by calling somebody on the telephone. So like in Earthbound, when you save, you're calling your mom. I think it's your dad that sends you money. You're calling your mom, I think. Or in Parasite Eve, if you're calling God. I'm not sure. But no, what I want is a game that takes your voice input and you describe roughly where you're at. Like, okay, here's what's going on. And when you go to load your game, you have to describe roughly where you were, and where it puts you is determined by the difference between those two things. Yep. So it is a memory test as well. How about you, David?
I'm not sure if I have anything super, innovative or something. I will say I'm a big fan of games that have a in-universe explanation for why you can come back to life from after you get killed.
Okay.
So, that's, one of the things I like about like in particular the Souls games in general, and particularly Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was going to riff off of Kole's thing, if they invented Kole's approach to save rooms, I think I'd then love to see a what it was, Guns of was it Juarez or whatever style thing, where it'll just like recreate the world to match like any mistakes in how you how you describe things.
Yeah, you're thinking of Call of Juarez Gunslinger.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. And then the final question here, Michael writes, what was the last movie you guys have seen, either at home or in theaters? I just watched Battle Angel Alita myself. That was Michael who said that. I've not seen Battle Angel Alita. Ben, what's the most recent movie you've seen?
So the last two movies I've seen in theaters were both Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it was great.
You went to see it twice?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I wanted to go see that, but it's out of theaters, I think.
I just want whether the Spider Noir to be more of a thing.
It's comic books. You can buy comic books of it.
Yeah.
We could just watch Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah. How about you, David?
I figured that was assumed. That's what everyone does on the weekends, right?
That's just a solution for any problem, though. So yeah, it's a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
So I think my most recent was I watched on Netflix Black Panther.
Okay.
I hadn't seen that until over the holidays. I really enjoyed it. That was a good movie. It also helped that most of the fight choreography was based on the style of martial arts I practice. So I may have a little bit of bias, but I think even with that, it was a pretty good thing. So also, I feel like, they always say, in an interview, you're supposed to like turn it around so the company isn't interviewing you, you're interviewing the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that and ask, how is Battle Angel Alita? That looks pretty good, although her eyes are creepy as hell.
Yeah. So I understand that it was better than people thought it had any right to be, but I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I have heard that it was not good.
Oh.
I feel like with, in the same vein as video games, movies, have there been any good live action anime adaptations?
I don't know.
Was Old Boy originally a comic book? I can't remember.
I mean, Old Boy was originally it was like a Korean film, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the remake was not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't the remake done about Spike Lee or something like that?
It was. Yeah.
Weird.
And to be fair, I haven't seen it. Just my understanding was it was basically just entirely missed the point of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So all I know is like the recent stuff. So like, that horrible Ghost in the Shell movie, et cetera, et cetera. And wow, the list of just film adaptations of anime is really longer than I would like to look at.
Yeah. So the
Also,
South Korean
it was originally a manga.
It was
yeah,
okay.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Let's see. For me, the most recent movie that I've watched, and this feels a little bit goofy, but I assure you there was a good reason. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
The first one?
Yup. We did a premium episode of Abject Suffering about an Austin Powers game for the Game Boy Color. And we were talking about it, and it's like, actually, I remember this movie being good and funny, and they rely on the same kind of joke for which which is a thing happens for a very long time, just a bit too much, but it is still just incredibly funny. I think,
Holds up.
No, it's it definitely holds up. I can only speak to the first one because it's been forever since I've seen, The Spy Who Shagged Me. And I only saw Goldmember once, and I don't remember a thing about it. So that is my, that is my answer. Austin Powers.
That's a curveball.
Well, it is a bit of a curveball. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you very much, everybody, for asking us those questions. We'll do it again on episode 280. And if you want to participate in these, just go to the Level Podcast. Go to facebook.com/the Level Podcast on Monday afternoons to watch when the prompt goes up. The grind. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the past period of time or so. David, I think I've been making you wait till later on for the past few times, so I'm going to have you go first. What you been playing?
So I have continued to put a ton of time into Sunless Sea. So
Sunless Sea or Sunless Skies?
Or Sunless Skies, sorry. Yeah, the sea is old hat by now. No one likes that anymore. So it's a little bit hard to say just because of, the nature of the game and the fact that it has you jump all over the place. But out of 4 maps, I've significantly explored 3 of them. So I'm, maybe at least halfway through the game. So yeah, I really enjoyed it last time I talked about it, and actually I feel like it really, picks up even from there. Although it does, as it goes, gets much, much weirder.
Okay, it was pretty weird at the start.
Yeah, so I would kind of say, something I've noticed, I'll be interested to see if this... especially with, I believe, the guy who kind of led their studio, whose name I'm missing, left and ultimately made Cult Simulator.
Right.
And I don't know, definitely left, before Sunless Skies was released. I'm not sure how much he was involved in the writing, so I'd be interested to see. It feels like there's a significantly different kind of tone this time around. So whereas Sunless Skis was kind of skis.
Sunless Skis. That's their next game. It takes place on an ice mountain.
Was focused on kind of, the primal fear of the unknown and, humanity's relation to nature. Sunless Skies is much more focused kind of on metaphysical ideas. So there's a big, connection it draws between, ideas of like time and law and light. and it gets a lot of the weirdness from how it personifies those aspects. So, somehow, and again, this is very much a game I'm trying to figure out, so this is going to be incredibly vague, but imagine how vague this would be when you're actually playing it. They somehow draw a distinction between the idea that the light is associated with the law.
Okay.
And so the sun is personified as a king. And then the anarchist factions, therefore, are opposed to the sun and are trying to basically plunge the world into darkness, which they refer to as the liberation of the night.
Okay.
And so just the whole thing's just very, very, I don't know, abstract and weird.
I mean, it sounds, I mean, so it sounds good, but it also sounds pretty similar to like some stuff that is in like Planescape, right?
I actually don't know that much about Planescape. I could very much see that being the case, especially with, kind of how the game's set up and where they've gone with it.
Like just like in the fiction of Planescape and Torment specifically, the idea is that belief makes things real, and so therefore, like, there are certain things where like metaphor that is strongly enough expressed or becomes kind of cliche actually gets these personifications in the world.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it kind of tracks along the same themes. I think one of the other things I may be seeing is, if you think about it, we're now, 3 games out from, the original Fall in London and in a significantly different setting. And I think there's some degree to which, some of the influences and kind of world features of sort of, are drifting or adapting. So, for example, the kind of anarchist themes and, the liberation of the night has been something that's been in all of the games. Mm-hmm. But initially, London is, Fall in London because it's, been taken to the center of the earth to the, across the river Styx from hell.
Yep.
And so a lot of that is drawing in, is kind of set up to draw in themes from like Paradise Lost. Right. Sort of the devil as kind of this libertarian, anarchist figure.
Right.
And whereas, now the, setting is so radically different that it seems like, the depiction of, for example, in particular, the devils has dramatically changed, whereas now a lot of it, they're more focused on being kind of, I don't know, these sorts of themes.
Mm-hmm. So how is the play, like, so as the themes evolve through the game, does it bring any new wrinkles to the kind of, not drug wars, but just kind of acting as a economic simulator? Like is that ever elaborated on?
Yeah, I think to a degree, not necessarily so much in the actual gameplay in terms of like, physically moving your ship around, those sorts of aspects. Yep. But, overall, the, compared to the previous games and as this game advances, the tone is much darker. Mm-hmm. So, previously there was a lot of, kind of silliness built around, you kind of having these exaggeratedly British, Victorian adventures. Mm-hmm. Whereas as it goes on, there's a much greater focus on kind of British imperialism.
Okay.
So, for example, like to give an example, kind of comparing to previous games, because that kind of, with more distance shows more of a contrast. For example, the Ministry of Public Decency is this organization that's basically occupied with chasing around like mustache twirling anarchists.
Okay.
Whereas as you go on in Sunless Skies and start interacting with them and potentially taking jobs from them, it instead shifts to basically them deciding what constitutes Britishness and attempting to censor things that they feel are threats to British culture.
Oh, so they're going full on France with it.
Maybe?
That's a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a thing that mostly manifests itself in extreme xenophobia and Islamophobia. But yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. So there's a lot greater and I'd say more direct focus on that as you go along. Although I do have to say, on the other hand, one of my favorite parts of the game so far is just overtly silly. There's a section where you're exploring a swamp that's being guarded by a militia of runaway orphans, a la Oliver Twist. And as you get more and more lost in the swamp, you start to lose your mind, and the game proceeds to begin breaking the fourth wall. So you start getting paranoid that someone is watching you and rendering all of your actions to text and dictating your every move. Similarly, there's a part where you basically come to this bayou and there's a siren there waiting for you.
Okay.
And you have the option to either approach it, flee, or alternately, if you want to, you can just choose to have a rant where you critique the way that folklore unfairly depicts powerful women as monstrous seductresses.
I'll take that option, please.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. So I mean, there still are points where it just goes completely off the rails, which is definitely some of the appeal to it.
Nice.
So I think that anything more I could say, at least at this point, would just be kind of me spoiling really cool things that happen. So I think that's the main thing I've been playing this week, but I look forward to doing the rest of the run of the game.
Yeah. So like just the game continues to be a collection of extremely good, small, weird fiction tied to a trading simulator. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Cool. And is that all you've been playing?
That's all I've been playing. Yep.
Okay. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I have had a little bit of a light week, kind of for reasons similar. I've continued to play Astroneer, and that game's fun, but I don't really want to talk about what I've been playing because I don't want to give away kind of like where the game goes. But it's fun. It's a good multiplayer game. If you can find like a group of people to play together with, then it's definitely worth your time, I think. I can check to see how many hours I've played it. Is
that a game where you have to play on the same server as somebody, or does somebody host it and everybody jumps into your world?
Exactly. Yeah. So you can create as many games as you want. Every game you create will create a world, and then you can invite whoever you want to that game. Okay. So, and then people will come to the world. So yeah. So usually the conversation you have with someone when you're playing is like, well, do you want to create a new world? Do you want to jump into my world? Do you want me to jump in yours? That sort of thing. And for the most part, I think there's like maybe only 2 or 3 worlds that I've played on total. And for the most part, usually I'll invite people and I have a world going. We've kind of gotten towards the end game, I guess, where there's not as many things to unlock tech-wise.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of explored most of the things that you can explore. It's fun. But now it's just getting to the point of it's like, okay, what do we want to do next, or what are the last like pieces of tech that we want to check out and see what you can do with the game.
Have you built anything really cool?
I built a tractor with a drill on it, out of diamonds, which means nothing. But it's just very, very, very.
It means
strong.
nothing and everything.
It's very, very strong, and in my case, I was able to drill to the center of the planet that I was in like a minute's time, which was very surprising because it usually takes a lot of work. So, yeah.
Were you able to survive drilling to the center of a planet?
I was. However, I was not able to drill my way out of the planet.
Just dig up.
Like the core, it was a one-way trip. I've actually never seen the movie The Core, so I don't know if they get out or not. But how I imagined the core to be, it was a one-way trip.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was still a lot of fun. Because like an added thing is like the drill like drains a lot of power. And so I had to make a tractor and then tie 2 trailers behind it and have one like wind generator on one of them and then a battery on another one to like be able to hold charge. And there's still wind in the cave, so you can still like kind of charge as you go. So it was fun to like make that machine to like figure that out or whatever, and then execute the plan of drilling to the center of the world. So,
this is more complicated than I expected if you're having to deal with like power sources.
Yeah.
I mean, all you need to do is, as long as you keep moving, there will always be wind for your wind generator.
Yeah.
Because the second law of thermodynamics is for suckers.
Oh, how long have you played it?
So it says 71 hours, but I know I've left it on because I just closed it out while we were recording, and so it's been on for like, I guess 24 hours or something like that. So probably around 40 or 50 hours is what I would guess I played it. So
nice.
It's been good. Yeah. The other thing I've still played a little bit more of Donkey Kong. I got to I think the 4th world now. I think there's 6 total, but I'm not sure. That game's still fun, and that'll probably be my go-to game in the coming week or two, since I won't have a video game system kind of set up.
Yeah, you'll have your Switch. And that is a good thing about the Switch, is you have it. Nice. And is that all?
That's all. I want to talk about the game you've been playing.
Yeah. So before I get to the one that I've been playing, I want to the one you're thinking of, rather. I've got some other ones that are not associated with another show that I'm doing. I'm super excited about Tetris 99.
Ooh. The Battle Royale Tetris game.
Yeah, it shouldn't work, but it's amazing.
Explain what it is, please.
Yeah. So first off, for some context for me, I had no idea that between Puyo Puyo Tetris, Tetris Effect, and Tetris 99, that for some reason the late 2010s would be like prime Tetris time for humanity. That like all of these are incredibly good, and Tetris is still at it after all these years. So that's my personal context. Just thinking about the state of the world and how good Tetris is and always has been. So Tetris 99, they announced it and released it at this Nintendo Direct. I have no idea who made it. I have no idea what madman thought of this, but it is you and 98 other people playing Tetris at the same time. You connect, it matchmakes you with all of these folks, and it starts the game. It is modeled after Battle Royale in that you are trying to be the last person standing. Much like other forms of multiplayer Tetris, if you, clear more than one line, you have a chance to send garbage lines to somebody else. If somebody has sent garbage lines to you, clearing a bunch of lines or getting combos, etc., that will let you intercept those. So it cancels them out, right? The way this works in Battle Royale is that you have your Tetris game happening in the center of the screen, and then on either side of your Tetris board, you see all the other games going on in progress. And you can either manually target where you want your
fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck this guy in particular. Yeah, you can manually target where you want them to go, or you can do pick like a category. So like, do I want to attack the people who are attacking me? Do I want to attack people to take them out? Like you can set it to be like, okay, like gang up on the person who's in the worst shape so we can thin the herd, right? Or gang up on the people who have collected the most badges, because as you get kills, you get these badges that actually do like a multiplier on the garbage lines that you accumulate by winning. So you can like try to aim for the top
defensively. Yeah.
And when you take somebody down, you get all their badges. So like you get to the end and like you have all these people who are like super powered and the game's swaying incredibly quick. Or you can target people randomly, right? So for the for the actual time that you spend playing Tetris, it's Tetris as it has been for a while. It has a hold, so you can keep a tile off to the side, but you are just kind of trying to clear a bunch of lines and keep the blocks down so that they don't reach the top, and the game speeds up generally as people get knocked out as the game goes on, getting harder and harder, and more garbage is kind of headed toward you. But because you are dealing with what is effectively a random noise of people who are targeting you, and sending stuff your way, you have to be ready at a moment's notice to like switch between trying to set up Tetrises, trying to clear as many lines as possible, and play defensively, right? So like, all right, they have stacked up a bunch of garbage lines that are going to reach me here pretty soon. So I need to switch modes and clear a bunch, just clear as many things off so that I can either try and knock off some of the garbage that's headed my way, or at the very least, stop the amount of damage that it's going to do as it stacks stuff up on me, right? Selecting who you want to target based on what period of the game you're at. Like early on, you want to target a different set of people than later on, right? It is good to set up KOs, or as early as you can, but eventually you want to start like targeting the people who are attacking you, and this gets you into kind of like a smaller pool of people that you're trying to take out. There's a subtle level of strategy to it that you are trying to manage in addition to surviving as Tetris is going on. This has there's no excuse for this to be as good and engaging as it is, let alone to be released effectively for free if you have Nintendo Online. So I'm going to ride this for as long as people are playing it, because I imagine in a while it'll be difficult to matchmake into a big game readily, right? But this game fucking rocks. It is the most fun I have had playing multiplayer Tetris.
Has it also been the only experience you've had playing multiplayer Tetris?
Yeah, I've had a handful of times doing that.
Okay,
it's been a thing.
All right.
Yeah. It's really, really good. This is for the Switch, by the way. It was just kind of released by surprise on that. Do you guys have any questions about Tetris 99, or will that just be my gush session?
Did you ever play Puzzle Pirates?
No.
They use in that game they use a variant of Tetris for their take on sword fighting. That's kind of cool. I have no idea if that game's even still running, but that might be something you'd be into. But that's kind of cool. Nice.
Yep, Tetris 99. Play it. Let me destroy you. I got in the top 10 a few times. That's
nice.
that is as high as I've gotten. But yeah, I consider it to be a good day when I can get above 30, let's say. 50 is fine. 50 is acceptable. Below 50, I have to call somebody I've wronged and apologize to them. Another game that I've been playing is on the iPad. It is called Rebel Inc. So this is a game by the people who made Plague Inc., Plague Incorporated, a game I've talked about in the past. It is kind of a management strategy kind of game, in the vein of Plague Inc. Instead of playing as a microbe that is trying to wipe out the human population, you are playing as the government of a troubled, let's say, Eastern European or Middle Eastern country, after a conflict trying to stabilize your region and fight off against an insurgency, while kind of maintaining the reputation and stability of your of your country in the face of both coalition forces and, you know, those insurgents who will pop up. So this is incredibly bleak. This was recommended to me after I was tweeting about Papers, Please, which we're playing for Watch Out for Fireballs. It plays very similarly to Plague Inc. insofar as, you know, what you're doing is setting policy. So you're setting policy instead of choosing mutations, but, like, you know, you have a budget that you're going to spend on civilian, government, or military kind of things, and each of those has a different effect. So civilian matters are, you can work on economic development, or you can improve, you know, infrastructure or sanitation or water services, things like that. And that has different effects on different regions in the country, whether they're rural or, urban, you know, things like that, etc. Whereas government is more about kind of diplomacy more than anything else, and military feels pretty common sense. What's interesting about it is that there is kind of an active deployment and combat mechanic in a way that Plague Inc. introduced with later expansions, specifically like the, like the vampire one, where you're choosing where your head vampire is on the map at any given time. In this, though, you are spending money on either coalition forces or training your own forces and deploying them to different regions to fight off the insurgents and kind of try to chase them and corner them and keep them away, or get them into submission so they will open up for peace talks. Mm-hmm. And you have to deal with, like, discontent, because if you just rely on coalition forces, which are cheaper and faster and more powerful, wherever they are, that region is going to be destabilized because people resent having an occupation force there. So you are just kind of, you know, again, it is one of these simulation games where you are trying to keep all of these plates spinning at once, and most gains that you get in one area come at the detriment of another. So it's just a matter of, like, am I fighting the right fires at the right time? Understanding that, you know, the fire is just going to move from place to place, like, literally. So if you route an insurgency from an area, or kind of take out a camp, what they will do is they will actually retreat into a neighboring region. So you have to kind of, like, set up your campaigns so that as they retreat, you are either setting up kind of outposts, you know, and checkpoints, but, you know, behind you, so they can't just kind of run to where
circle
you were.
Around.
Yeah. And, like, you know, if they have no place to run, you know, if they're cornered, then hooray, like, you have taken that out. And just kind of the insurgency will stop being a huge kind of drain on you, if they are not taking up a lot of kind of contiguous space. So, like, you want to keep them broken up and small, so that they don't just kind of drag down your stability.
This does sound bleak.
It is incredibly bleak. I have no idea, like, if it's in, like, poor taste, because, like, you fire it up, and at least the scenario that I played so far, you know, going up from casual through, you know, just up through the difficulty level, so I can understand the systems. Like, it takes place in, like, April of 2002. Like, it is explicitly like war on terror. You have occupied a place and you are playing as, like, say, the government of Afghanistan, trying to prop yourself up in the face of all of these different, just incredibly inclement circumstances. But on the other hand, it's a very satisfying management and strategy game. So I don't know. I am broken. I'm not broken. I am of two minds. There we go.
On the This War of Mine to Frostpunk scale, how bleak is it?
It's probably let's say 70-30. Let's say so 70 This War of Mine, 30 Frostpunk.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it's pretty bleak.
It's pretty bleak, but then again, I mean, at least this doesn't involve eradicating all of mankind.
Yeah, but that's, it's science fiction. It's
yeah,
fine.
You
can get over that.
Oh, but yeah, Rebel Inc. You guys got any questions about that?
No, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I played it on an iPad. I think it might have an iPhone version, maybe Android, possibly Steam. I know there is a not on Steam. Yeah, there is a Steam version of Plague Inc. So I imagine that might be on its way. Or not just Steam, but like PC in general. Yeah. Because I guess we have to make that distinction now. It's weird. So there are two things that I have been playing that we have either talked about elsewhere or they're going to be talked about elsewhere. The first of which is Thief Simulator. We did an episode of Duckfeed Presents, just kind of a miniature waff about Thief Simulator. Guys, this game is real good. Like, I'm not trying to, like, point people toward the Patreon so they can listen to that episode, like, because I think it was fun. But Thief Simulator is really, really good. Like,
I have not heard of this.
Putting everything kind of in the bleak scale, I couldn't tell, like, how sad the game was versus how, like, enjoyable and fun and lighthearted it was that you're, like, robbing from these people's houses.
I mean, it's good for you. You're getting richer. It's sad for them, but I don't know. That's other people. I don't care.
It doesn't focus on that part. Yeah, you're away from the sadness on that one. You drove away from it in their car.
Yeah. So this is kind of in line with any of the blank simulator games. Just think European developed Unity asset store, incredibly janky, but has a very satisfying core loop to it. And a lot of charm that just comes from how poorly it hangs together. But like as a privacy invasion simulator, it's really good. Just in terms of like, it's fun to break into houses and like case the joint and get around their security.
In games.
Sure, fine. Thanks, Johnny Law. No, but like you start out like just robbing these small like little tiny houses, and then you move to the rich neighborhood, and there are gigantic mansions full of antiques and stuff, and you end up stealing like cars and things. It's just neat. Like it is incredibly good as these simulator games go.
I think one of the parts that I watched you play, you were popping out gems of jewelry to collect money on it. Well,
so if you take the jewelry and try to sell it, well, they're just going to, like, the cops are just going to go. they're just going to go, like, right to the pawn shop and say, yes, that's mine. No, what you have to do is pop the gems out, sell those. You're going to make more money that way. Same thing if you steal a cell phone, you have to have the tools to wipe it, to unlock it. That way it doesn't, it can't be recovered. It's worth more that way.
I can definitely see from experience on the second one. Don't try to call the person you rob's roommate. It doesn't end up well for you.
Oh yeah, you had that whole thing, didn't you?
Yep.
Jeez, man. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I got mugged. Luckily for me, they tried to call Dennis. And when they showed up, the police were waiting.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, and then you ended up testifying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the case? Wow. Man, that was a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, although, I went back relatively recently. It's now almost completely gentrified.
Yeah,
So,
it's been
for better or for worse.
Yeah, they chased out all of the local people and made it entirely a university town. I'd say probably for worse in terms of overall human, suffering, and it's better for people to be able to live in the city where they work and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I tend to think so, but
yeah.
So on a less depressing note, apparently it looks like, I'm looking at screenshots, there's a progression system.
Yeah, it's fairly limited, like you are gaining experience by stealing unique things, and you can spend that to raise yourself up in the tech tree. That is fairly directed. Like you can sequence break, but there is you have like a handler named Vinny who calls you and gives you missions and like will direct direct your growth, say like, you've got to be able to hotwire cars, so learn that skill and call me back. And then he takes you on these missions, but you can just freeball it and go about the town yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you, if there's people there, can you just like boop them on the head and rob the place?
Is it like Thief?
No, so it's not like Thief. There are no church robots or whatever. This is a bizarrely non-violent game for being a game about crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so there's like not even an option for violence, pretty much.
I tried, like you have a crowbar for breaking windows open and stuff before you get glass cutters and things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I tried bonking somebody on the head with a crowbar and no dice. And like even when the cops show up, or if there's a guard, or if somebody in the house has a gun, like you don't get shot. It's almost like just like, oh, they have coup on you. So like if they could shoot you, then it's a game over because they're close enough. So it doesn't show you getting shot or getting arrested. It's just like, hey, game's over. Do you want to reload a checkpoint?
Yeah. So there's not like,
that's generally the way that at least long-lived criminals behave in real life.
Yeah. Well, it's like weirdly refreshing to see a game about crime that isn't about like, any kind of spree other than, breaking and entering.
Yeah. I remember, well, we've been over this, but yeah, I remember Payday. As much as it was fun, it got a little weird.
What were you going to say, Ben?
Do they have a jail mechanic? Like, can you get arrested to go to jail and then get out?
No.
Okay.
That's kind of the story that's built into it, is like you are an ex-con who has been bailed out by a prominent crime family, and you're doing like jobs for them. But it's incredibly loose, that story.
Okay.
Yeah.
What level of a thief are you? Because I see there's an XP system.
Pretty high, but I stopped about midway through the second neighborhood, just because the security measures got to be a little bit too much for me. But
I saw at one part you have to like walk around security cameras to break in.
Yeah. There's like security cameras, like there's like a little bit of an arms race. So you start out being able to break windows open, but then there's sensors for that, so you get a glass cutter so you can cut the glass open, and then there are glass cut sensors on them, so there'll be an alarm there, and then eventually like there are shutters on the windows, so they're only open and close at different times of day depending on if somebody's there.
So by the end of it, the neighborhood looks terrible because everyone's making fortresses out of their house.
Just a fortress. Yeah, everybody has their video game turrets.
Iron bars everywhere.
Yep.
I just love the idea that it's the second neighborhood, implying that you just like steal everything in a neighborhood then move on. It's like at the end, there are no cars left in the entire suburb.
Yeah,
runs pedestrians. Yeah. They don't value expensive things anymore. Slowly becomes a utopia.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. I'm setting them free. The things you own you, so I'll own them for you. It's really a favor I'm doing you. And the final thing that I've been playing, we're doing a WAF about it, but Ben, you talked about this a while ago, and you actually watched me play a little bit. Frostpunk. Holy shit, Frostpunk is so good.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Like just as a goal-directed city builder, where you have every single disadvantage piled on you, that is so thoroughly about a single mechanic, which is, are people cold or not? And everything spirals out from that. With kind of a central question of, do extreme conditions require extreme measures? How far will you go? Will you cross the line? How much of your humanity will you give up in order to maintain some semblance of life?
I'm sorry, can you say that more dramatically?
No, that's a very, very good synopsis of it.
Oh, no, I just mean, I feel like that needs to be said in, like, the narrator voice.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not a monkey. I'm not your monkey, damn it. No, but just as a very tightly integrated product of theme and play, this is fantastic. I just couldn't stop myself from playing it. I think I put in 20 hours over the weekend, something like that.
And you already beat the main game, right?
Yes. Yeah, it took a couple of runs, but I finally beat the main game, got through all the stuff it throws at you, which is a lot. This is a game that doesn't want you to beat it. And I've done one of the kind of like side kind of scenarios that they give you. Yeah. We split it up, so there are like two main ones and one small one. Like Gary was going to take one of them, I was going to take the other. I'm like, okay, you can do that, but I'm also going to play yours too, and maybe that other one too, and maybe a little bit of endless mode, because this is precisely my jam. In terms of being a management and sim game that feels high stakes. Yeah, I just love it. It's incredibly good. I've fallen into it like I fell into Prison Architect or RimWorld, or you laughed at this comparison earlier, Ben, but I will make it anyway. Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Yeah, I laughed at that because they're like completely two ends of the anxiety spectrum for me, at least.
Yes.
I do think, part of the strength of Frostpunk is like how it's not just like, oh, 5 people are sick. It's just like, this specific person is sick, and you can like follow them if you want. You can see where they go to sleep. Yeah. You can see what they do during the day, like that sort of thing. And I do like that it's like a probability game. Like, you don't have to heat the people's houses, but what you're doing is you're managing how likely it is that they're going to get sick, and so you kind of have to figure out what's acceptable.
Thank you.
Acceptable risk.
Yeah, I was going to use that exact phrase, acceptable risk. Like, you can deal with this for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the things when I watched, I think one of the things I asked is like, can I see your heat map? And I saw it, and I was appalled. I was like, it's too cold there for those people. What are you doing?
Chile is fine.
Yeah, I realized that you could play the game in multiple ways. And that,
well, you hit me in chat, and you're like, okay, brass tacks, nuts and bolts. You got them kids working?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, no, I have them in a shelter, and they're helping out at the hospital.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait. How is that not working?
Well, you can just straight up count them as employees. It's a little bit like giving them
to the mines.
Yeah.
Wait. So as long as we don't count them as employees, we can still put them to work.
Yeah. But they can't really get hurt if they're doing that. They're
like interns. They're okay to abuse.
Yes. The interns can share a gun. But no, like, just what'll happen is, so you get a choice. You can either like put them into the mines and they are counted as workers, whereas if you don't do that, they are considered like the amputees or like the people in palliative care. Like, just they don't work. They just take food. Or you can put them into a shelter where they learn and stuff like that. And later on, you can pick to say, like, okay, they can either help in the hospital or help in the engineers. Like, basically, it's like to learn some skills, because the game doesn't take place over a long enough period of time where like the kids will become adults. It's more like, okay, will they, can they be useful without becoming disposable? Right? Like, do we value childhood anymore is kind of what you're deciding. But when they go and work at either of those places, they increase the efficiency of those buildings. Yeah.
I sent them to the engineer's place.
Oh, yeah. I was more worried about people getting back on their feet, because like, if people get
it's chilly in their houses.
Well, I mean, kinda, but like, if you let it get out of control, people will get sick, and when they're sick, they don't work, and when they do, I mean, it creates a death spiral. Yeah. So like, getting people back up on their feet.
You're gonna be sick, but we're gonna make sure you don't die.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the choices you're making too. Like, you can decide, all right, we will prolong your life, or you can select radical treatment, which is that arm's got to come off.
You don't need it that much.
Yeah, we're going to give you a prosthetic. It's fine.
What is the alternative to palliative care?
I mean, so like it's either palliative care or it is or it is like radical care, which is, amputation, and they go to a care house until you give them a prosthetic. And then they can work. They can work and live again, rather than just. But you gotta
research prosthetics, and that's not for a while.
You gotta pass it as a law. So it's a little bit further down the tech tree, but they can eventually return to the workforce. Or if you just kind of like warehouse them, they stay sick and use resources, but it is considered to be more humane.
What did you choose? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, my bad. I was mistaking, conflating palliative care and end-of-life care. So I was wondering, like, is the alternative just like the old yellow approach? Or
So, like, you can decide what you want to do with bodies. It can either be, it can either be like, I was
going to ask about it, yeah.
You can either bury them, or you can put them in mass graves out away from the heater, where they will stay preserved, and eventually you can harvest their organs to make things better. People are aghast at that, but it is far more efficient and practical.
Did you do that?
I did on my first go. I was a monster.
Couldn't you just throw them in the coal burning thing?
Cremation happens all the time. It's fine.
We need a David expansion. That's some good fuel right there.
Gotta get in touch with your inner technocrat.
Yeah, bone burns bright. It's like Dad always said, bone burns bright. But yeah, I love this game. It's so good. Like, even failure feels good. Like, I whenever I made a second run at a thing, I always felt better equipped to come out on top. Like, I understand optimizing the economy of this now in a way that feels incredibly satisfying, especially in relation to how lost I felt at the beginning.
I do really like the choice system of, like, when you're introducing laws, it's not like clear cut, like good choice or bad choice, like there's a real, like, not that, like, you want people to enslave kids in the real world or anything, but in the context of the game, it's like, there's a decent argument to, like, having kids do work, like, if you're looking for things to be efficient.
Yeah. And they do a pretty good job of, like, making the choice mechanically neutral,
Yeah.
So, like, there's a choice for hospitals, which is like, all right, so we have two options. We can either give extra rations to the people who are sick in order to get them to recover more quickly and get out faster, or we can overcrowd the hospitals, doubling their capacity but making people less happy, just kind of overall. There's an argument for both of them because realistically, both of them raise an efficiency. One of them gets people out more quickly. The other makes it so that you have to employ fewer engineers as doctors.
You're also saving space too, which is valuable in the game.
Yeah, because hospitals are really sensitive to insulation and temperature. Like, they'll just stop working if it goes down. So, like, everybody is jockeying for those close positions to the heater. It's so. On one hand, you want the right, part of me wants the right thing to cost more, because I think just in general, values need to have a cost to be meaningful. However, in terms of, like, having a discussion with yourself about what is worth it, most of like, just like, okay, which is going to be better, like, it makes it a more difficult choice. If you have to, like, if it is mechanically neutral, what do you value more? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you value the extra hope that you get by having actual burials in a cemetery with ceremonial, funeral rites? Or do you benefit more from, the extra research that comes from harvesting organs? It's up to you. Like, okay, all things being equal, what matters?
And then I don't want to spoil it, but then in the second half of the game, you kind of make more. You kind of pick your class sort of thing of how you want what you want your society to be, and there's some more interesting choices there as well.
Yeah, that's super interesting because, you know, without going into too many specifics, you have to pick one, but like how far you go down either road has a very huge impact on the tone and tenor of your of your society.
Yeah.
Frostpunk is amazingly good.
After talking about it with you, I want to finish my game now.
Yeah, go do it. I mean, this is not me criticizing your management ability. I have no idea. I haven't seen your heat map. The things that it's going to do to you are going to make you fail. So you're going to have to make another run at it.
I already got max range, max heat. I'm sitting pretty on that front. I feel like.
Okay, all right. Let me know. Let me know.
Yeah.
I was ill equipped because I did not understand exactly what was going to be what was going to happen to me.
I did have to restart. So I played maybe 1 or 2 times and then maybe restarted after like maybe an hour or two once I kind of got to see like, okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't work.
Yeah.
I need to do this instead. But the current game that I have, I think was good. So I've put maybe like 10 or 15 hours in it, maybe.
Yeah, you may have taken your lumps enough. So forgive me. I didn't know that you had made a couple of different runs because that is something that could possibly be seen as a negative about the game. Like the early days really do determine your success in a way that you might not realize until many, many days and hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How deterministic is the game? Is there a lot of random elements?
I think the weather's constant in the game, like when temperature increases and decreases. So I think that's fixed.
Yeah. Everything else seems to be kind of about probability and whether or not you explore and find the right things in certain amount of time. So there are like various timers that are going on that it's kind of checking you on.
I know, for example, like one choice you can make is you can do, I think anytime that instead of making a lull, you can do an emergency like work session where it's like everybody's working 24-hour day today. Like we need to get something done or something like that. You can't sleep. You got to work. Yeah. But then a result of that is like, oh, this person died because he was overworked. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So somebody will always die the first time you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably
does it get into at all like social like laws and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So without talking about what's in the later ones, the adaptation tree, which is what you have at the beginning, where like the burial laws and things like that are, like there's one path you can go down, which is you could consider it to be either vice or you could consider it to be creature comforts that people thought that they left behind. So like the first one is, you know, like fighting arenas. So like you institute boxing matches for people. And like beyond that is, you know, like you can open up a public house and, you know, like have moonshine. And then like the, you know, another branch on that is like, do you allow prostitution? You know?
Right. I could see it getting into things like, you know, like is abortion legal?
It doesn't go that far.
Okay, because like, you know, in the sort of like literally every single person matters, that you know, I could see questions like that actually being kind of interesting.
Yeah, you know, so it doesn't go that far. I don't know if that is a particular statement being made by the developer, but it's more, I think, a result of the fact that the time scale of the game is so short. You know, like I said earlier, like the game doesn't last long enough for kids to become adults. That sounds way darker than it actually is.
That said, your society can transform pretty radically in the 20 or 30 days that you're ruling it.
Yep. Yeah.
It'd be very weird to see this happen in real life.
Yeah. So, I mean, there'll be more detail about that in the Frostpunk episode of WoF, but I wanted to talk about that here, Ben, because I know you played it and you watched me play a little bit. And also, man, this game's good. Don't sleep.
I'll have to show you my city at some point.
Yeah.
And then I can see what you think of it.
Yeah. Even if I can't watch, you can take like a screenshot and send it over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's everything. I feel like I've been a busy boy.
Yeah. You had the record this week. Most games.
Yeah. So how do you feel about bundling it up?
I think I know how David feels about it.
Let's do it. Buttons. Okie doke. Thank you so much for listening to this level 275. Really appreciate you taking the time and hope you come back next week. You know the stuff that you can do. Once again, I want to remind people I'm going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on April the 12th, 13th, and 14th at the Wisconsin Center. We're going to be doing a live show about creative games. That's going to be a fun time. But otherwise, just come out, meet us, shake hands, say hi. It'll be fun. Otherwise, though, you know the things you can do. I believe I already said that, so that means it's time to go. I have been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I have been David Meismith. You cannot find me because I upped my stealth skill.
I've been Ben Merkel at Merkelby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. All right, what you got?
I only got 2 this week.
Okay.
I have Wave Dash IRL, and I have Bone Burns Bright.
I also had Bone Burns Bright.
I also have Bone Burns Bright. And then I had Breaking and Entering is Fun, Church Robots, and this one no one actually said. It's kind of a convention or whatever, but children are like interns.
I like that. I like that better than the other way around. Bone Burns Bright is the vote winner. How do you all feel about that?
Got the votes.
I feel like it's thematically appropriate.
Yeah, it's dark. Most of my stuff was dark. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go sleep, I think. Because if I don't and I stay at this computer, I'm going to play more Frostpunk. So
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, it means that I won't fall asleep until 2. So I'm gonna go lay down and sleep.